Hello, friends. Welcome to Career Talk. And this is Sindhuja. Thank you so much, Sunan, for this wonderful opportunity once again. So, in this video, we are going to see how to calculate the efficiency and the health of the product backlog in such a detailed manner. By end of this video, you will be having some clear picture around the efficiency and health, how we can calculate it, such a detailed one. Okay, so moving to the next slide, table of content. So what is a product? What is a product backlog refinement? Why PBI needs to be refined? PBI refinement and calculation, PBI items efficiency and health, benefits, best practices, tools and techniques, asking powerful questions, look of healthy PBI, mature PBI, look, magical code to remember before PBI refinement, reference links. Of course, we are not going to cover the complete table of content today. We are going to see just till benefits. Okay, but here in this video, we will be completely showcasing the calculation and how to determine our efficiency and health. Okay, so in our next video, part 2 video, we will be seeing the best practices, tools, and techniques. How can we pose some powerful questions and codes to remember? Okay, okay, so moving to the next slide. What is a product? Okay, so many people and many of the organizations having the understanding of the product is something different. What the real product means? Product, a definition of product and examples here we are going to see. Product is something that satisfies business demand or need. It can be anything. It doesn't mean that it should be physically present. Okay, so that can be physical or not, that is generated through process and that provides some value to a market. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's like realistic touchable, something like that. No, it doesn't mean that. Okay, so example, mobile phone, train services. In our day-to-day life, we are using this Azure DevOps or Jira tool, right? So these are also some examples of product. Okay, for an instance, if we take train services, it's like train service of the train is like carrying the passengers from one point to next point, another destination. So this is not alone the single one what the train services are doing. They are again looking for the registrations, booking details, and then maintenance of the trains, services. So these many services behind this scene. Okay, so these are also a product. Okay, what is a product backlog refinement? So product backlog refinement is the act of reviewing the product backlog items to make more clear and adding more detail, making them more estimatable, and ordering the items which is really needed in the market in the product backlog. Okay, and the main thing is that are not part of the ongoing sprint. Ongoing sprint, I'm stressing it again. Why? Because I had this question in my PSM too. I did some mistakes because I didn't notice the term ongoing sprint. That was a true or false question. I just take that as a true. But make sure to note this one. So only I'm repeating it. Okay. So we will do backlog refinement for the sprint, for the future sprints, not the ongoing sprints. So key to remember, refinement is an ongoing process, but not for the ongoing sprint. It never stops because requirements and opportunities never stop changing. Detailing everything upfront would create waste and delay the delivery of value. So you don't want to detail everything upfront. Product backlog is always emerging one. So in Scrum and Agile, we can expect changes in the last minutes as well, right? So this is one point. Okay, so moving to the next slide. Why is product backlog refinement needed? So whatever we are doing before we are getting into this thing, if you're clear what does it mean by and why it is needed, then the remaining things will be very easy. So why is product backlog refinement needed? To ensure the product backlog is healthy. So in a healthy product backlog, the items that will occupy the development team for the upcoming sprint should be refined so that any one item can reasonably be done within the sprint time box. Okay, so that is why we are looking for ensuring the product backlog is healthy. So product backlog items are discussed until a shared understanding is reached. So items are broken down until the developers are having some fair confident that they can complete them within a sprint. Okay, so this gives the product backlog a level of transparency that reduces the risk. So the risk is exposed by not completing an item within a sprint and thus giving away the opportunity to generate value for the organization. So if you are predicting the risk ahead, then it will be very easy for us to do our sprint, right? So that is the reason product backlog items are discussed very clearly until a shared understanding is reached by the developers. Okay. That is why the refinement is an essential product management activity to have a successful Scrum team. Okay. Okay. So moving to the next point, to avoid refining too much ahead of time. And also sometimes some team uh, may test so much of refinement activity, but that is also not needed. So only we are, because our PBI is emerging and we may expect changes at any time. So we are not supposed to do that. So Scrum team knows that it is time efficient to refine only the top items in the product backlog because they will inevitably learn new things that change their view of items further down or make them redundant. Okay, so therefore Scrum teams refine only items they can move along with for the next two sprints, that thing. Okay, so ideally some understanding is that we can spend some 10 percentage for this refinement activity. However, it varies for every team. Okay, moving to the next slide. PB efficiency and health, product backlog efficiency and health. Okay, so the efficient value that can produce as a part of refinement session in the backlog is known as backlog refinement efficiency. So after at the end of the refinement session, what is the main efficient value we are getting out of this session is known as backlog refinement efficiency. I will explain you clearly in the next slide with some good examples. For a product backlog to be in good health, it must contain enough user stories in the ready state with a cumulative number of story points greater than average velocity. What does it mean by user stories in the ready state with a cumulative number of story points greater than average velocity? So I will explain these points in very detailed manner in our next slide. Okay. If the total number of story points of user stories in ready status about 2 or 3 times the average team velocity, then the product backlog is even in better health. Okay. Having more user stories in ready state, then it is that is wrong since indicates too much planning. Again and again, I'm repeating this as well. How product backlog refinement is important. Similarly, we should have to know what we have to refine and how much item we have to do that. Okay, that kind of predictions and that kind of calculations also really needed for us. Okay. Okay, so moving to the next slide. Okay, so efficiency calculation. Okay, so first consider the left side picture. First refinement session of sprint 1 of 1 hour duration. So this is absolutely an example we have drafted to showcase how it will be. It varies for every project, every program, every team. Okay, so this is just an example. You just assume we are in sprint 1. We are about to do 1 hour of refinement session, 1 hour only we are doing for this one. Okay, this is our assumption, we are doing it. So out of that session we could refine 3 user stories. That means the story points are like 5, 3, 2. Okay, so after that 1 hour session, we refined almost 10 story points. Okay, so total story point refined after sprint 1 is 10. And second refinement session of sprint 2 of 1 hour duration, again it's 1 hour duration. In my second refinement session, I can refine only one user story, but the story point is like 8. The user story may be very complex, or my team members may not having the appropriate understanding of that user story. Requirement may not be clear, so so much of discussions and those things might have taken the time, and they might have identified so much complexity and risk or anything else, or this requirement is completely new for them, so it may take some time for them. Okay, so based on these things, they could have done only one user story refinement, that is having story point of 8. In my third refinement session of sprint 3, okay, so in this session, again it's for 1 hour of duration, but in this session I can make 6 user stories refined. Out of the 6 user stories refined, I got the story points as 14, like 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. I just read the yellow one user stories against the user story points. Okay, so it is like in end of the third refinement session, I got 14 story points refined. Okay, it's like 6 user stories, 14 story points at last after the refinement I got. Okay, so average of the 3 refinement session is 10. That means, please note the pink one. Okay, sprint 1, 10 story points I refined. Sprint 2, 8 story points I refined. Sprint 3, 14 story points I refined. If I take average of these 3, I will get 10 story points in an average. Okay, so look at the green one in the left side picture. Green in the sense not dark green. Oh, sorry, it's not green, blue, I think. Um okay, so average of 3 sprints refinement session is 10. On an average, in one refinement session, which is of 1 hour, team refinement is 10. So I can come to some kind of prediction like, if my team members is about to do 1 hour session refinement session, so approximately they can refine some 10 user story, or sorry, 10 story points. Okay, so this prediction or this average calculation I can do based on this calculation. Now, how we can calculate it against velocity? So moving to the right side picture, so sprints velocity. Say for an instance, my team member can achieve some 15 story point in at the end of sprint 1. Okay, my team members velocity is 15 story point they can achieve, and in sprint 2 they can achieve some 20 story points, and in sprint 3 they can achieve some 25 story points. Okay, so this is my team members velocity. So in an average my team member can achieve some 20 story points. If suppose someone is asking how many story points your team member can achieve at end of the sprint, approximately is 20. It may extend some 5 story points, it may reduce some 5 story points, it's approximately 20. So in an average 20 story points my team member can deliver at the end of the sprint. Okay, so in this, at this moment right now, my product backlog is having just 10 story points. That means only 10 story points I refined and I'm having that in my bucket. But what is my average velocity? So average velocity is 20, but at this moment my product backlog is just having 10 story points refined. Okay, so only 10. Ideally, if you want to have your product backlog more healthy, your product backlog should be refined 2x. That means average of your velocity into 2 or 3. Again, average velocity for my team is 20. Then if I want to keep my PB healthy, I should have to have 20 into 2, either 40, or 20 into 3, either 60. That means to be ready. So this is what in my previous slide I mentioned. So average velocity, it should be greater. Ideally, my product backlog should be greater than the average velocity. Okay. So product backlog should have some 40 story points or 60 story points, uh, state in ready state. Okay, that much story point should be in the refinement. Again, this is such an example what we have predicted and we have done. It varies for every team. Okay. So 40, 40 is the expectation, at least 2x. If I'm taking 20 into 2, at least 40 is the expectation. But in my current product backlog, just 10 story points alone is refined. Still, I need 30 story point. That is in that orange one. Okay, we still need to refine 30 story points. So as a team, we need three more refinement session. How I calculated the three more refinement session? Again, it's a beautiful question, right? So 30 story points I need to refine still. I know my team member, if suppose my team member is spending some 1 hour, they can refine some 10 story points. Okay, so again, 30 story points I want to do in 1 hour. My team members will do 10 story points. So ideally I need three more refinement session, that is 3 more hours I need. You can say it in hours, or you can simply say three more refinement session I want to do. So this is a calculation how you can do for your team. And if you're having ready with your product backlog for the next two sprints, that means greater than your average velocity. That is again, if your average velocity is 20, if your product backlog is having at least 40 or 60, then it means your PB is healthy. Okay, so that is what we are insisting here, emphasizing here. Okay, so as a team, we need three more refinement session in order to make our product backlog healthy. Okay, so this is a simple calculation. I hope it's clear for you guys. Okay, moving to the next slide, benefits. So gaining insights. So why are we doing this product backlog refinement? To gain more insights about the product or end goal or the vision. Okay, clarify value. Yes, many people may not. We may have some new joiners. We may have some change in our um, or outcomes or something else. So to clarify the value and have the clear understanding, we are doing this product backlog refinement. Increase transparency. This refinement session really helps and increase our transparency, like what is our understanding level, what is their requirement, what is the customer need. Those kind of transparent information we will get in this refinement session. Estimating product backlog items, we can have some rough estimation in our product backlog refinement session itself, because we will be having some clear cut understanding what is the expectation and how tough is it, how complex it is, what are all the risks, what are all the differences, any financial loss, any security threats. That kind of information we will get it. Breaking down of product backlog items into consumable pieces. So uh, again, I said in some two slides ago, right? So we have to break down the product backlog items into consumable basis. For an instance, if I want to deliver some login page or something else like that, I cannot deliver it within a sprint. I have to make it chunk by chunk. I have to deliver it chunk by chunk. So that is the ideal intention of this product backlog refinement. Forecasting. So based on this refinement session, continuous refinement session, or in this refinement session, we can forecast, we can imagine, we can visualize what is the real need of the customers, or how we can do, how we did in our past. That kind of predictions we can easily make in this product backlog refinement session. Incorporate learning. As a team, we all together, when we are doing this kind of product backlog refinement sessions, and getting clarified with our stakeholders or product owner, in this refinement sessions will give more learning on the business side as well as the technical side as well. Okay, more on the business side. And ordering the product backlog, yeah. At the end, if team members are posting so many questions, and what is the requirement of this for this in the market right now, and how competitive this with market, this kind of questions or this kind of thing, make the product owner to order and prioritize it properly. So ordering the product backlog, which will help, which will add more value to the business. eliminating or reducing dependencies. Yeah, if we had these sessions very properly, we can easily identify these dependencies or issues or risks in advance. So irrelevant items get thrashed. Sometime we will be having some hundreds of items in our product backlog which we may never touch or which we don't want at this moment. So those items still relying in the product backlog, but we won't use it. So this items can be trashed and we can keep our backlog clean. That is also another one intention. Okay, so that's it. This is best practice. This we can discuss in our part 2 session. Thank you so much. And yeah, we will be in touch with the next session of this PBI refinement. Thank you so much.